Welcome into the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Two notes before we get going today. We got a great guest today, folks, and a really great book that I want to talk to you about. One that not only was I intrigued about, I learned a lot about, but boy, did I laugh over. And it's rare that we get a true crime book that I laugh over. So we're gonna talk about today. Two notes. One, a good friend of mine passed away over the weekend. I want to say Godspeed to John Ward, archaeologist, a good friend that we had here on the program on Darkness Radio. John passed away from brain cancer, and he had been struggling for about 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks. The last 6-7 weeks are real tough for John. John was truly just an intelligent, scientific man, but he also was a very loving, caring man. His wife and children are also intelligent, loving people. He was based out of Sweden the last couple of years, and had been doing a lot of work in Egypt and doing some work that was really changing what we knew about Egypt. His wife, Maria, will continue to do that work. She's been funded and has grants to do more in Egypt, and I'll update you more on Thursday about the work that Maria is doing in Egypt. So Godspeed, John. We'll miss you. We love you. And Maria will continue your work. So we'll talk more about John on Thursday's show. Also, today's my mother's 80th birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. Jackie Johnson is 80, and she's one of the most dedicated fans of the show. So happy birthday, Mom, and thank you for believing in everything I've ever done. You are loved. So, all right, with that, let's get to today's program because we've got a great one. The Serial Killer Travel Guide Across America, your coast-to-coast tour of terror. Johnny Trevisani has done it. He's done a book that will not only intrigue you, but it will put down your state. But it'll do it in a way that'll make you laugh. He's managed to do it in Minnesota. I mean, I found myself giggling along with the weepy-faced killer, or weepy voice killer. I'm sorry, weepy voice killer, which I remember the news clips. We'll talk to Johnny about it in just a minute. But he also accurately painted Iowa in a way that made me laugh because I spent time there doing radio. Let's tell you about Johnny. We'll bring him in. Johnny Trevisani is a writer with a dark sense of humor and a fascination with true crime. He was born in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. He studied computer science and psychology at Penn State, and later worked in corporate offices where his interest in serial killers began. His writing blends satire, psychology, and offbeat wit to explore grim topics in a campy, engaging style. He's the author of Serial Killer Quote of the Day. I got to get that too. And the upcoming The Serial Killer Travel Guide Across America, which, by the way, we have a link in the description of this program so you can go get it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome in for the first time to True Crime Tuesday, Johnny Trevisani. Johnny, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And condolences about your friend, and happy birthday, Mom.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Johnny, man, this book, let me tell you. And by the way, you have written this book with Brian Whitney. We should mention Brian as well. This book, man, first of all, the wit in this book is so incredibly good, so funny. Is there, let me ask you, the first question off the bat, is there a state you really do truly love other than the one you grew up in?
No. Seriously, no. I mean, I have equal disdain for most. No. Yeah. I mean, there's beautiful states. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you go to Arizona and you can see wonderful sunsets. You can go to the Jersey Shore, which we consider to be the armpit of America, but like, it's still just what it is, right? Like, we all have our pluses and minuses, and I have a tendency to focus on some of those minuses, but it's okay. There's plenty of pluses out there.
There are a lot of minuses. I particularly got my giggle as you travel through the Midwest and you start to describe some of these states.
The square states.
Yeah. What's that?
The square states. The
square states. Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Your description of Nebraska just about had me fall on the floor. Because there's another host I work with at KNSI who absolutely has this is acidic disdain for Nebraska, I think is a good way of putting it. And I almost wanted to just clip that little description and send it to him and say, there you go, Ox, there's a perfect description of Nebraska for you. Because I think he would probably print it out and put it over his desk and probably live by it. Is there anything about Nebraska that you could find redeeming? I have to ask you that
Hmm.
because that is
Well,
Charles Starkweather country.
it is. And so, he liked it. How's that? He
Oh,
enjoyed it.
okay, that's a good thing. Yeah.
I mean, I think I did identify at least places to go besides places to visit related to serial killers. So I believe in Nebraska was a museum of American speed, right? So,
Right.
that's something, right? And if you like cars and you like automotive stuff, you can go there. So it's an actual positive thing to do.
We should mention you do at the end of every state, or as you're getting to the end of every state, you do find that redeeming quality of every state. You say, be sure to go here and check out this, and they have this that's really good. So
Right.
you do kind of pull up at the end.
I don't want to leave everybody in the gutter, but you probably want, like, I'm a big fan of dive bars. So if you need a drink, I find a nice dive bar for you to visit. So you always want to have something to leave there with positively.
I noticed that too. There's the mention of the dive bar in every single listing. Now,
Many, yeah.
let me ask you this: there are some dive bars that you mentioned in different geographic areas where you do give us the warning. Don't order the cocktail. If you do, you're probably taking your life in your hands. They don't make a cocktail here. It's strictly a beer, beer and whiskey
Pretty
bar.
much most of those places are going to be shot in a beer, right? I mean, so if you want to order a frilly one, you got to take your life in your own hands. They don't really know how to make them.
Is there particular bars where you just know when you walk in there's even certain shots you shouldn't ask for, or there's a certain
No,
beer
not
you
to
should
that
stay away
level.
from?
Not to that level. I mean, there's places like that. One of my favorite is Club Deuce down in Miami, right? But you stay in your lane. I'm going to get a PBR. That's just going to get a PBR. I'm good. I stay in my lane, but it doesn't look like much. So I'm not going to try bad drinks. Don't understand. I'm not going to try the bad drinks for you. So I'm just saying, probably stay in your lane or stay in their lane.
Is there a because I know you've probably tried a lot of different dive bars throughout the nation. Is there a beer that garners respect in every single one of these bars?
To me, dive bars and PBRs go really well. And I'm a fan of PBR. I know I shouldn't. And people
Mhm.
always talk about the PBR shits or the PBR um,
You can say
stuff.
it. PBR
Okay,
shit. Say it. Yeah.
PBR shits
Yeah.
after, but I don't suffer from that. So maybe I'm just one of the fortunate. But um, everybody has their favorite. But I'm just trying to, like, it's much like any other place. I like when you go to a restaurant that looks suspect, I'm just going to get a burger. You can't screw up a burger, right? So you just sort of stay in your lane. You don't want to try to say, "Ooh, I wonder if they have fish out in Kansas City that's probably good." No, right? Like, it
No.
just doesn't make sense. So
Mhm.
I know as it looks good and it's on a special, but I probably will not get it. I'm going to stay in my lane and get a burger.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you there. I hear you there. There's okay. So the other one, most of these dive bars, okay, you've got your rail drink, your rail shots, you got your top shelf. Are you too hoity-toity if you go in, you're ordering top shelf? Should you just assume rail?
Yeah, real. Yeah, because it depends on the dive bar. Some of them are pretty rough, and you don't want to make it look like you're some suburbanite that's only ordering Grey Goose or something. Like, no, just take Jack ones. That's what's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I mean, you don't want to stir up the locals, right? When
Right.
you walk in.
No way. I mean, we've all seen Pee Wee Herman going into the biker bar. You don't want to knock over the bars or the bikes on the way out. So
I'll tell you, out of my experience, again, you paint Iowa with the great brush. But I did radio in Stewart, Iowa. I'll name the town. I almost never name the town, but I'll name the town. To me, it was like doing radio in the X Files, right? You
ah,
remember the small towns in X Files where everybody
yeah,
turns the same direction, and you have the cornfields there, and it seems like everyone's possessed. It's like a Body Snatchers episode, right?
Right.
It was like that every day. It was scary. I don't know what else to say other than that. And but they were offended. Like if you dressed differently than everybody else, if you weren't wearing flannel jeans and a trucker hat, um, you were an outsider. And this was 1995,
Wow.
right?
Yeah. And that's kind of modern, right?
I mean,
I
that
mean,
was
it might be modern for most things, but maybe not Iowa, right? I don't know.
I guess.
I mean, but Iowa had IBM there, so you'd think that maybe they brought in some talent, but it was IBM, so
But that was, I mean, that was half an hour west of Des Moines, and you might as well have been, you might as well have been in Nebraska. We were only okay,
I like that description. You might as well have been in Nebraska, right?
right, because we were only a couple hours east of the Nebraska border. I mean, but there was no difference. You might as well have been in Nebraska. I
Right.
mean, it was practically the same terrain. I know that almost stops the conversation there, but it it
No,
it was it was corn and beans all the way from Stewart to the Nebraska border.
you
It was
wonder why they like the cow tip, right?
yeah.
I mean, I don't. I'm from out, outside of Philly. I don't know what cow tipping is. I don't know why you would do it, but I guess you have nothing else to do, and you go like, "Hey, it's 9 o'clock. Let's go tip over some cows." Like, I guess that's a thing. Then there's also chip throwing of poop, right? The cow chips. They throw those. Why? That's what you figured out. You couldn't pick up a book.
Right. You couldn't pick up a book. You couldn't, I don't know, in a crystal radio, you couldn't go talk to truckers. You couldn't, I mean, there's more
You want
productive
to stay
things to
away
do.
from. If I would probably stay away from trucker stops in Iowa. Just
Well,
saying.
but you do mention glory holes at one point, which
Yeah.
which to me got me laughing. I mean, yeah, I think it was when you were talking about loves, wasn't it? At
Mhm.
one point, I think you said something about when you're mentioning loves, you make a kind of
There
a
are some references in this book that are quite unique.
well, I mean, but you're painting it with an honest brush, right? I mean,
It's
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I'm 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 not picking on one specific place, and well, just trying to have some fun a little bit
right, exactly.
on a dark subject, right?
This
So
isn't this isn't a book you're going to hand to a 10-year-old and say, learn about America.
no, no,
Exactly. Right.
please no.
Please no. You don't want to.
I'm gonna get awful letters anyway.
No,
I don't
no,
really need that.
no. You
But
have to
with the
one.
first book, I would get comments, and
Mhm.
and I never really understood. You understand the like the campiness of it. Like there's just not
Yeah,
getting the kind of the joke, and and they were taking it super serious, and I was like, well, okay, not really getting it. That's fine. Not everybody's gonna get it, but I hope somebody did.
I think it's safe to say when you pick up the book, you're realizing, especially, I think you should get it right from looking at the cover, right? I mean, the cover comes at you dynamic and kind of explosive and tells you, hey, we're gonna have some fun here, right?
Well,
And
the
then
first couple lines of the book in the intro, which I thought was what I enjoyed writing it, which was, "This is not your grandmother's travel guide, unless your
right.
grandmother had a basement full of teeth." And right,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and that sort of sets up the rest of the book. I thought.
Yes, yes. And you do a brilliant job of just saying, hey, you know what? It's going to be kind of a dark, sick, funny look at your state, and I'm not going to pull any punches. But at the end, when we get to the end of your state, I will, I'll give you a little pat on the back and tell you what I like, right? Although it's going to be tongue in cheek,
Right.
right? And that's what I loved about this book, Johnny. I really did. There's although you do take plenty of shots throughout it to pepper them up, and then you say, okay, well, at least try this. Let me I want to pick on my own state for a minute before we go to break, because
Uh-huh.
it's about my own state of Minnesota here.
Right.
Which there's as you do you do a recap of the Midwest first, and then you go into each individual state, and then you go into Minnesota, and it's the weepy voice killer. I'm wondering if kind of off the top here, if we can just do a quick recap of the weepy voice killer, because he was kind of an interesting guy himself. Um, can we reference off the top?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, sure. Go
Okay.
for it. I mean, let's talk a little bit about the book. That's why we're here.
Okay. So with the weepy voice killer, um, he was unusual in that, in Minnesota here, it's not like we've had one killer ever in our history, but he was one that, at least again, I've been in the state for a long time. I did take off for a while, do radio, come back, but I happened to be in the state in the time that he was around. And I remember the news reports from that time, and I remember it being an odd period because when this guy was committing his crimes, his voice was so shrill, and he had this,
Which, if
you know,
you think about it, if you're going to be called the weepy voice killer, that's got to be a really insulting moniker. I mean, when you have like Richard Ramirez being the Night Stalker, and you have the Miami Strangler and all these stranglers, and you have him as the weepy voice killer. I mean, come on, that
well,
must have felt awful for him. Like, give him
it's
something. A little...
it's emasculating,
Yeah, I
right?
know. Yeah.
And at the time, it was almost kind of a joke.
Oh,
You know, it
100%.
they were trying to take it seriously on news reports, and but this guy is actually doing bad things, right? So they're trying to be serious about it, but at the same time, as they're playing back the phone calls from this guy, and as they're getting audio from jail, it doesn't seem like that you see news anchors trying not to laugh, right? I mean, at this guy's voice, and you see seasoned, hardened crime reporters, like, kind of, trying to do the, you know
Well, it's
like,
probably not a normal thing that they normally, or there's something that they don't come across very often, right?
right,
But
right,
for them
eh,
to make bloopers just by mentioning their name, it's pretty funny.
right. And it was Paul Stefani, I think, is the guy's name, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Paul Stefani.
So, I mean, this guy was not your. I mean, it's not like this was Ed Gein. It's not like this was Dahmer. It's not like this guy was. It's almost like we screwed up serial killers in Minnesota, right? Like, we couldn't even
Right.
do that right. The Vikings can't win a Super Bowl, and Minnesota can't put together a good serial killer, right? I mean,
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but that's brilliant. Run it. Yeah, like, really, if you're going to go after it and you're going to be good at it, you might as well be good at it and really not give us a reason to call you the weepy voice killer.
yeah, yeah. It just seemed like we really screwed it up again, is what it seems like. I mean, or even our hot dishes are bland. Tater tot hot dish and bad serial killers. It seems like we can't quite put it together.
I mean, he called the police and was apologetic. And can you imagine getting that call?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
I don't want to make the voice, but sorry, really.
yeah, he's got this high this. Sorry. And what? Who does that, right? I mean,
I guess
most serial killers are unapologetic. They go at it. They do
well,
their
in St.
thing.
Paul, I don't know.
Yeah, but when you live in St. Paul, evidently it's the hams. I don't know what it is that they're drinking over there,
I
but
think it's just that it's so cold there. It's not really where humans are supposed to live,
that's
right?
true.
I mean, when you have to have cars, you have to have people heat your batteries while you're at work, like, because you're in an office building. That's an indication humans shouldn't live there, right? And
Right. Yeah.
just saying.
I mean, you never, in the time you lived in Pennsylvania, you never had to have a block heater on your car, did you?
No,
No,
no, no.
we do.
Yeah, and that's an indicator you shouldn't live there, right?
It's very true.
Like, I mean, you have a network of connecting buildings and such,
Yeah,
so you
skyways.
don't got, yeah, you have
Yeah,
skyways, not to go outside,
yeah.
sort
And
of like
that's
living in your own biodome.
that works good not only in the wintertime, but we also have summers that sometimes rival the rainforest for humidity. I mean, it should be an uninhabitable zone, but hey, we love it.
And look
Speaking,
what you created. You had a Paulstefani that.
oh, and what's, I mean, you also point out that again in the book, he was convicted of one murder and of an attempted murder, and he was sentenced to 58 years at the time. And he later confessed to 3 other murders, all while crying and apologizing. At least if you're going to take the hit, stand up, right? Put your chest out, put your chin out, right?
Well,
You couldn't even do that right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like
I mean, at
maybe you
least he has
should.
some, how conflicted can you be, right? You killed somebody, but you're still really that bad to cry about it.
Yeah,
That's a conflicted person.
that is a conflicted person. And like I said, on the way out, as you're talking about our failure of a serial killer, again, reaching for the ring 4 times and never winning it. Thanks, Vikes. Um, you do give us a little pat on the head for the Minnesota State Fair, which I greatly appreciated.
There you go.
Pointing out that 2 million people show up each year, despite the fact that at the end of August, it is like residing near Satan's taint for 2 weeks every year.
Hence the cheese curds.
It is the cheese curds, yes, the cheese curds, yeah. So, which are wonderful, and Wisconsin thinks they have it up on us for cheese, but there is nothing like.
Oh, I love the battle. I love the cheese battle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not only the cheese curds, but there's also a thing with Sweet Martha's cookies. I don't know if you ever got to partake, but
I have not, and I'm a cookie fan, so
they do not only a cone of chocolate chip cookies, which are to die for. You get them fresh. What they do is they bake them fresh out of the oven, and they're melty. They're this wonderful
probably the
melty.
best reason to go to St. Paul.
Oh,
Really,
telling
right?
you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That would make me go there.
Yep. Yep. And you can get a cone or, hear me out, Johnny, a gallon bucket, take home bucket
Wow,
of
that's for a road
fresh
trip, right?
chocolate chip cookies. So
Yeah. So while you're going across the country, grab a gallon bucket.
there you go.
Put
See,
it away. You're in good
yep.
shape.
Get a little bit of milk, you're all set.
Right? Yeah,
That's
you're big on milk out there, aren't you?
they are, and for a guy who's lactose intolerant, I'm not crazy about it, but but hey, I'll spend a day on the toilet for that. I would do that just for the cheese curds, the milk, and the chocolate chip cookies. I'll do it. I'll pay the price, and it's right around my birthday. So hey, happy birthday to me. Here's a day on the toilet. That's good for me. It works for me, right? But we'll take our break here again, folks. The book is phenomenal. It is not only one where you're gonna want to you're gonna want to. I shouldn't say it. It's not a bathroom reader, because once you start, you're not going to want to stop. You're going to want to keep reading this book. Johnny is incredibly funny. Not only that, but he brings the accurate information here. He brings the stuff you're going to want to know. He brings in a killer in every single state, even regions. So what he does is he'll come in, he'll introduce you to the region, or he'll introduce you to an area. He'll tell you not only the bars that are there, he'll tell you the highlights of the area. He'll also tell you what he hates about your area, which is very funny. He brings the funny in this, but he also brings facts, and he brings the serial killers that are all across America. The name of the book, The Serial Killer Travel Guide Across America, your coast to coast tour of terror. It's Johnny Trevisani along with Brian Whitney. We have a link in the description of this program. I highly encourage you, go get this book during the break. When we come back, more with Johnny, we'll talk a little bit about different areas of the country again, and some of those famous and not so famous killers. When we come back with Johnny, right after this, on the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. My guest is Johnny Trevisani. The name of the book, and it's a good one, folks, The Serial Killer Travel Guide Across America, your coast to coast tour of terror. And Johnny, before the break, we were talking a little bit about my own home state here in Minnesota and how it's failed miserably with their serial killer. Let's talk about one that's highly successful.
Yeah.
The state that I call probably one of the most dangerous in the nation, the one where I would not eat the sausage because it's probably made of people. Let's talk about this neighboring state to the east, Wisconsin, who seems to be able to breed them as fast as they make them. There you're talking Ed Gein. There you're talking Jeffrey Dahmer. There you're probably talking one being made every moment, but we don't even know about. What is it about? I mean, you look at. I mean, I know we're sticking to the Midwest here, and we'll branch out here a little bit later in the program. But when you look at isolated areas like Nebraska, we've talked Iowa, we've talked these different areas. You know, you got stark weather over there in Nebraska, and you've got. Well, we could have talked about Iowa, but she's she's in. um, but you've got these areas that could have bred notorious. Well, Starkweather is pretty notorious, but could have had decades and decades of serial killers, and I mean the loneliness and desolate areas could just continue to breed these serial killers one after another after another. Wisconsin seems to be doing it right. What are they doing right over there that the rest of these states are failing miserably at?
Oh, geez. Again, they're part of that middle area of the country that is constantly beat up from weather, right? They get
Mhm.
the extremes of everything, so this got to affect you in some fashion. But can you imagine being gay there at that time? You
Oh
know,
no.
right? I mean, so you have to have a little bit of, and I mean very small, amount of empathy for Dahmer living during that time in the 70s, being a gay man in that area, which was, not a cool place to be a gay man, right?
Right.
And I'm not saying, and his parents were pretty religious, so he's conflicted. He's a conflicted guy. He just had a really weird way to show it. Um, you know, I mean, Wisconsin is Wisconsin. It can be beautiful. It's near a lake. You like lakes, right?
Hmm.
But sometimes it can get to you, I guess. That lake effect world can get to you and make you do pretty horrific things. I mean, um, Dahmer was, uh, I have a quote in my other book that started that book, and it came from when the police showed up at his apartment, which is no longer there, by the way. So if you go to Milwaukee, his apartment building is razed. It's just an empty lot, and they claim that they were going to make a park out of it, but they haven't. It's just an empty lot right now. But when the police arrived at his apartment, it was because the people were complaining about the odor that was coming from his apartment, and he told them his refrigerator broke and the meat spoiled, and just that kind of like gruesome, experience, or that gruesome knowledge what he's saying is not true, but what we all know is true. It's um, I don't I want to feel empathy for him to live in a world where he can't be a gay man living honestly, but he was completely conflicted by that. So
Yeah. 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 It's just something about the state of Wisconsin. And I give all my friends from Wisconsin crap, right? Just the fact that you're this breeding ground for serial killers. My joke to them is whether you be a Packer fan or a serial killer, there's always something wrong with you if you come from Wisconsin. And
and your
although they,
cheese isn't as good.
yeah, the cheese isn't as good. So there you go. But, and they take it in stride. But, you know, so you see, I have that sense of humor with them too. Um, One of the areas that intrigue me, another, it seems like serial killer playground that you feature in the book is the area of the Southwest. And I don't know what it is about the Southwest either. It's a harsh terrain as it is, right? With the desert, you
A
talk,
lot of places to bury stuff.
yeah. Oh, you talk about a place where you could just get rid of someone and never be found, right? And that seems like one of those areas too that whether it be killing fields or dive bars or great barbecue, one or the other.
Yep.
um, there's just tough people, tough terrain, tough drinks that way. Uh,
But to contrast that, like you can, I think you can maybe understand like, oh well, if I'm going to bury a body, I'm probably going to do it where no one's ever going to be, right? So you're
right,
going to put it where it's completely brutal. No one's going to actually going to go there, and you'll never find the body if you don't want it found. But do you know about the Honolulu Strangler? I mean, that's a beautiful place. It's a
right,
beautiful place in the world, in the country. I mean, you have to fly there, and you're met with lays, and it's a beautiful place. But there was a strangler there. There was a person that killed 5 people. So I
true,
guess it's not just the terrain, right?
right, right. In the past, the one that I was gonna say, the one that in the Southwest that gets me every time that I kind of cover her or talk about her is Nanny Doss.
Mm.
I don't know what it is about women who kill, but it's we always assume women are so soft and kind and they want to have this softer side, and it's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true that the you know there's this stereotype, right? That
That everybody's a white male, right? That's correct.
yeah,
You're right,
right,
and that's true. I mean, statistically, it's going to be skewed white male, but you're going to find a number of women. And Nanny Doss is what I liked. Her story was she was a lonely heart killer, right? I don't who's really lonely heart. She was making them. She was making herself lonely. Like she became a lonely heart because she was killing everybody. Like so, but she was poisoning everybody. Her husbands and children's and her children. It was truly odd. And what I liked about her story was that you want to talk about a good, they called her the giggling granny, right?
yes, the giggling granny, yeah,
Um, and but like they didn't you didn't put two and two together with her. Like how could you not see the trail of husbands before you put things together?
yeah.
But I guess, it's a long time ago, right? I guess back in the 20s, 30s, you know.
Well, and that era of time too, as you point out brilliantly in the book, it kind of seems like the detective work was a little dense back then, right?
They didn't have DNA, they didn't have, a network of, this was just a bunch of locals that are researching somebody dying, and then you come to a weeping, grandmother saying, "Oh, I don't know how he died." Yeah, and then she's just happened to die, and whatever. Like she was she was good at what she did in covering up, and she also knew a lot about arsenic, which is, I guess, a good skill back then.
Yeah, arsenic was a hell of a tool. That was not, and it seemed pretty popular in that time frame. I mean, because although it was easily exploitable, right? I mean, you could find it pretty easily at that time. They had tests to find it. It wasn't like you could get away with killing someone with arsenic.
Not in the middle of podunk places like that, right? I mean, I don't know. You would think because she wasn't in the. I mean, sure was she was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but we're still talking about Oklahoma, right?
Right,
We're not talking about like New York City or something like that where they might have an infrastructure to look for these things. As
right.
back then, I mean, so she put up some arsenic and some pie. How are you going to figure that out?
True, true. But when the husbands start dropping like crazy, I mean,
Right,
one okay, it might be
right.
something. Two, three, come on now, you know. Then now we're talking a party, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're talking. There's something going on there.
You think.
I want to start to get you closer to your birthplace, and I want to I want to ask you this, Johnny. When as you start to write this book, where do you start? Right? I mean, I know you want to cover the entire U.S. I know you want to go all over, but when you start to focus, when you do you start at home and then work your way out, or how do you start writing the book? What captures your attention first? Do you start at home and then work your way out? Do you start in the East and then work your way west?
Hmm. What started me on this book and got me thinking about what might be a fun book to write was I've been to Long Island a number of times, and but when I saw the reports a couple of years ago about Rex Humerman and the suspected Long Island serial killer, um, they talked about the Gilgo Beach murders, and I was like, where the hell is Gilgo Beach? I didn't know where that was. So then I looked it up on a map, and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, and I was like, I've been around there before. I've driven by there. And then I thought, hey, wouldn't that be an interesting book? So that's sort of what started me out on it. And I started researching um, certain places. But in Philly, there was two, there's a number of murderers that passed through Philly. Some just passed on the way through. Like Carl Panzram just passed on the way through. But there's a couple in the back in the 80s. One is in the book is Marty Graham, and another was Gary Heidnick. Both of them are kind of similar in their, chain them up in the basement kind of thing. Gary Heidnick, and so that got me interested in it, and so
Mhm.
I knew where those places were, and then you just sort of expand out and say, well, I'm going to go to the easy places, and find the places, and went to go to Atlantic City and see where the Atlantic City Strangler was, which by the way, the Atlantic City Strangler they suspected was associated with the Gilgo Beach murders, and then that was one line of they were investigating, and it ultimately ruled it out. But it's
Hmm.
those are the type of things, you go there and you go like, oh wow, this is interesting. you know Atlantic City is if you've ever been there, I don't know when it was ever good. Like they talk about Atlantic City as being a great place to be, but I don't know when that is. I think somebody just wrote about it nicely. I don't think it
Yeah.
was ever really that way.
Yeah.
Um, so so that's sort of what it was. I stayed local and then expanded out. I was out in Arizona and I went visiting out there. So you just sort of, you know, expand my horizons.
Right. Right. Right.
Like for example, I'm still on the East Coast here when I talk about Virginia, but in Virginia, if you've ever been to Alexandria, Virginia, very quaint place, cobblestones, roads, stuff, very quaint. Right now, it's pretty upscale, but a very quaint state. But there was two serial killers from there, and I would
Hmm.
not have known that had I not researched it. But it was two, and I've been there, and it just blows my mind. It's not a big city.
No.
It's a relatively quaint little city, but there were two from there, and the one, his name was Charles Severance, and he was a grudge killer. He, I don't describe him like that in the book, but I describe him conversationally like he looked like Santa Claus on crack cocaine. You know, you know, he just and he ran for Congress and he ran for mayor. You know, of he ran for mayor of Alexandria, and I'm like, again. So the fun facts. I don't know if you appreciated the fun facts in
Oh
there,
yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
So um, those are the things I kind of appreciate. Like that was one of the things I put there for Charles Severance. Yeah, he actually ran for public office, even though that he hated public office. He you know
Isn't that funny that a man who wants to destroy humanity also wants to represent it?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unusual. One of the things that kind of hits me as we're talking is do you notice trends from one area of the country to another, and also trends from one time frame to another. So if like you mentioned, like in Philly, the guys were basement killers, like they wanted to chain people in the basement. So is that a trend as opposed to like say Nanny Doss in the South who was poisoning people to like say in Minnesota you've got weepy voiced killers who had a way of killing people that way. Are there different
The,
MOs in different
the
areas of the country?
problem, yeah, I understand the question, and it's a great question to do statistical analysis, and you can figure out, how many of them were married, how many, those types of things. It might be an interesting thing to do, and maybe the FBI has that data. But it's also, for this book, it became a little bit difficult because, serial killers don't just hang out in one place. I mean,
Yeah.
for the most part, you're going to get people like Marty Graham that lived there, and he just grabbed prostitutes and chained them up down his basement. But then there's other ones like Ted Bundy who traveled the country, and Samuel Little who just traveled the country, leaving a trail. And so I struggled a little bit trying to associate killers with certain areas, knowing how mobile they were and um, how they move from one state to another state. I mean, for example, I put Bundy in the Pacific Northwest in Washington. And I did that primarily because I think the story is better there because, well, it's Washington. Um,
Mhm.
and, uh, but, he worked in communications for the reelection campaign of the governor during that time. But he killed a lot of people in Florida.
Yeah.
So who did I choose? Why did I choose those things? And I imagine, you can certainly ask me why I did that, but I have to make a decision. And so I guess I really don't have to make a decision, but I did make a decision to put Bundy up there. And then you can look at other ones that are more um, that are long haul truckers. The Green River Killer and all those, like they travel a lot. So it and they all have most of them have similar methods for their. That's
Mhm.
why Nanny Doss was unique because she poisoned. That's a that wasn't. I guess that's easier for her, right? But
Right.
most was stabbing in ropes, and choking and such.
But to your credit, you also do some different things. Like you take regions like the Rocky Mountains, or you
Hmm.
take highways, and
Right.
you don't limit yourself to state borders. And I think it's smart to take Bundy and put him in Washington rather than California because California
Hmm.
is such a transitory state, right?
Right.
Um, there are killers that stayed to California, and like you pointed out, there are some serial killers that travel from state to state, and there are many that do. There were some California specific killers that you can focus on. So
Hmm.
you can keep them to
There's a
their
lot.
state. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
So
there are a lot in California, and you wonder why. We can come up with theories, but and who I chose for California um, was because I thought that there were better stories,
oh yeah,
to be honest, right? I mean, I featured Ed Kemper more so in my first book because he was a really quotable guy. Um, and but uh, there's a location. So do you know that there's a with Ed Kemper and with Henry Mullen that Ed Kemper didn't like Henry Mullen? Um,
really,
yeah, because he thought he was taking away from his work.
really,
Yeah. Um,
that's crazy.
right. Yeah. I mean, but then like Richard Ramirez in L.A., he had a mentor, you know, and um, and I only highlight the Glassell Park in there because that's where he did a lot of his work. But he moved around in L.A. or outside of L.A.
Yeah. That it. Okay, so you talk about extremes. Getting professional jealousy as opposed to a mentor, right? I mean,
Right.
where do you sign up for an apprenticeship for serial killer, right? I mean, it's not like you go to trade school or sign up with a union. I mean, that's
Right.
you know,
Yeah, but as a person, if you're going to ask, and that's why in that show Mindhunters, and why they featured Kemper, because he was pretty smart. You know, he was a pretty bright guy. Just had a real big vendetta against his mother. Um, but his quotes were great because he did experiments. You know, one quote was actually blood is a pain in the ass, and because he was talking about like, well, why they were asking him the methods and such, and he was saying, well, you know, actually blood was a pain in the ass because he was practicing. You know, he was practicing on the co-eds that he was killing because he wanted to kill his mother in a certain way. But if you're going to have a mentor, probably Ed probably would be a good one because he did a lot of experimenting.
Sure. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And it just seems weird to have a mentor if you're going to do it. But I suppose if you're going to do it and be successful, right? You want somebody who will pave the path for you.
Right.
Yeah, and not and, and not a failed serial killer like the weepy voice killer. I mean, that's the last guy you want
That poor
probably
guy.
paving the way for you. Would be my guess. Someone who's failed miserably.
Well, he was successful for 3 times, but
Yeah.
just saying.
Well. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. You get what I mean. Get what I mean there. That's for sure. That's for sure. Um, some people hate this question. Some people like it. I had a guest recently who said, "Don't ask me who my favorite serial killer is. It's not the NFL. These aren't ball players." Do you have a quote unquote favorite serial killer? A favorite case?
Been asked that many times. It's I agree with the answer that he says it's not the NFL. I will say that when I talk about serial killers as to being prototypical, I talk about N. Kemper. Um, you know, he was a guy that lived in society. He was unassuming. I mean, yeah, he was 6'9", 300 pounds, but he lived in society. He was friends with the cops. You know, they didn't believe him when he gave himself up. But he had a method. Like he was a true serial killer. Like he once he completed his goal, which was kill his mother in a certain way, he gave himself up. And so that's one. And BTK killer also, Dennis Rader, um, was another one that is sort of the prototypical serial killer because he was a guy that was in society. He had a family. He taught softball. He was a deacon in his church. You know, all these things. He had a job installing security panels. You know, ADP stuff. So he was a guy that you could be behind in a grocery store and not know. And that is to me the mark of a true serial killer. You can never really know. It's not going to be the crazy people like the ones that look like crazy, like Charles Severance, that looks like Santa Claus. Um, but there's the ones that Dennis Rader, where he just looks like a suburban dad.
Yeah.
He just had a weird hobby.
Yeah. So Johnny, here's a little bit of a trick question for you.
Okay, good.
All these killers seem to either want to get caught or eventually tire out and find a way to get caught. To you, having seen all these different cases all throughout the country, have you in your mind gone over it and thought, you know what? I think I could find the ultimate way for one of these guys not to get caught? In your mind, do
Oh,
you know?
well, in the book, it's filled with there's plenty of killers that were never caught. So they were successful, right? I mean, the biggest one is a Zodiac killer, right? Never
Mhm.
caught. We all have theories, and it's good to have these theories, but honestly, that person was never caught. So they figured out something the others didn't. Whereas, but like Ed Kemper, he gave himself up. He was done.
Yeah.
You know, so he was doing it the way that he wanted to do it. And I think that maybe, I don't know, maybe serial killing is just a personal thing to do. Maybe there's certain ways to do it, and it's very personal.
You don't think with Zodiac that maybe they were just done and they gave up, or maybe they were caught and never revealed themselves?
I There's so many theories. I mean, there, the Ted Cruz theory makes sense too.
Then he eventually went to serve in government.
uh, um, I would love to know that, you know, is it the the DB Cooper of serial killers? Like,
Yeah.
you know, did they finish? Like BTK, he was done, but
Hmm.
he had such an ego that he hated the fact that they stopped looking for him.
Yeah.
You know, so there's an example, like he gave himself up, but honestly, if he just shut up, he probably would have just been fine.
Right. See, I wonder if,
And the Golden Gate Killer, right? You know,
right,
he was only
right,
caught because of DNA, but
right.
he was fine. He was living his life.
Yeah, he was done.
Yeah,
He was done. Yeah. And I wonder if there's the such a thing, and there may be, maybe Zodiac is out there somewhere and just living his best life and not, and done.
right.
Right. And just retired and said, I've done what I've done what I
My
can.
life's work complete,
Yep.
and
The
I'm ready
painting
to.
is painted and it's hung on the wall and my best masterpiece is over and I've continued on with life. But then you also would talk to a psychologist who would say no, they need the recognition. They need they continue to need the ego stroke. They eventually have to come back and they need to be recognized for who they are.
I mean, I agree with that. There is it's the reason why they keep trophies of some of them keep trophies, right? They
All
don't
right.
like to relive it, and they want to be a part of their kills. But sure, they do love that attention. Some of them like the attention. Like Ed Gein didn't like the attention. He was still just, you know, he just did his business until they eventually caught him. You
Right.
know, he probably would have kept on going, but they ended up tying a couple things together and then looking in the shed.
Who who do you in your estimation or in your ranking, who do you think was the sickest of them all?
Ooh, huh. Never thought about that. I mean, Gein is pretty up there.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that he was the prototype for all of the horror stories and such, and like because who could think that up? Like who thought that was a good idea?
Right.
You know
Right.
what he did with the bodies and like skin, like it was like that's pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean Dahmer, there's a lot of them that ate bodies and stuff, so that's kind of weird. And there's a lot of them that had necrophilia, so Kemper did that too.
Yeah.
So all there's it's tough to rank them in disgusting scale, in gruesome scale, but we can talk about them. Like to me, Gein is pretty up there, but then I think Albert Fish, you know,
Yep.
Albert Fish is brutal when you think about it. So yeah, I would say the most um, gruesome human that I think that lived for a long time was, to me, Carl Panzram. Because Carl Panzram was such a guy that if you met him, you either were raped or you were dead.
Yeah.
Like, and that kind of that 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 mindset is pretty brutal. He was truly not a person that was not part of society and didn't want to be part of society. He was just gonna. He had he had anger issues, but you know, I do have a fun fact about Carl Panzram. But
Yeah. Hit us with it. What's a fun
okay,
fact? Yeah.
so there's a fun fact about Carl Panzram where he was this. His timeline was back in the early 1900s, and he was in World War One and he fought in World War One, but then he was court-martialed. And during World War One, the Secretary of War, which is what they called the Secretary of Defense back then, the Secretary of War was William Taft, who later became president. And he signed the orders for Carl Panzram to go to Leavenworth. So Panzram went to Leavenworth, was released, And then after he was released, Taft became president. And then after Taft became president, he was the Supreme Court justice. Now, while Taft was a Supreme Court justice, he wasn't at home at the time, but while he was Supreme Court justice, Carl Panzram broke into his home and stole his Colt revolver and murdered 10 people with it.
Whoa.
Right?
Whoa.
Fun fact of the day.
So you could say he was an accomplice in a way.
Ooh, yeah, right?
Yeah. Interesting fact. Wow, Johnny.
There you go.
Way to blow our minds towards the end of the program here. All right. Oh, so I've asked you, all right, although there's not a favorite serial killer there. I'll ask you, did I ask you favorite dive bar already? I did, didn't I? Favorite dive bar throughout the nation?
I'm going to go with Deuces in
Deuces and, okay, yeah. I think you kind of mentioned that. All right. Do you have a favorite eatery throughout the nation?
So around my area is a place called Specs.
Okay.
And I've yet to see anything. There's a great I should say there are probably plenty of them in Louisiana, but there's a outside of New Orleans gas station that serves wonderful food. But that's probably common. So I can't just say that that's one. But I would say in my area, there's a place called Specs.
Okay. And
Specs is known for its pressurized fried chicken. And I'm a big fried chicken fan. Yeah. And to me, it's the best. So it's also a blowback. You go in there and it looks like from the 70s or something. It's
really
very cool. Yeah.
All right. Specs. All right. And is that in the Pennsylvania area then?
It's in the Pennsylvania. It's in the burbs.
Okay.
It's in Collegeville.
Okay. In Collegeville. Great. All right. So we'll have to look out for that. Should there ever be a Minnesota? Is it the Penn State area? Is that what you're saying?
No, it would be closer. It would be closer to Philadelphia, the Collar counties of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia.
Okay. All right. So should I ever be in the Philly area again? I'm looking for Specs because I'm a big fried chicken guy myself. So. All right. Well, folks, the name of the book, and it is a good one, and I encourage you to go get it, is The Serial Killer Travel Guide Across America, Your Coast-to-Coast Tour of Terror. Johnny Trevisani is the name on the book. And boy, Johnny, not only is it full of great information, but man, is it funny. I got to tell you. Now, before we leave people, did you say you have another project in the works, or are we pretty much promoting this one for the time being?
I'm just promoting this one. I do have some things that might be coming up, but they're not solid yet.
All right. Well, it's enough just to be promoting this one, because I tell you, folks, you're going to want to have this one on your shelf for a long time. You've got every serial killer you can imagine from every state in the union, and you can probably point to your state and say, this is why I hate my state, more than just the serial killer that's in it. But by gosh, this is what we've got going for us. And it may or may not be much, but you can do it with a wink and a nod and a sense of humor. Johnny, I got to tell you, I absolutely love this book, and thank you so much for writing it.
I appreciate it. I really love that you love the book. It's great.
I do. It's absolutely wonderful. Johnny Trevisani, everybody. Thank you so much, Johnny, for being on the program. We're going to lighten things up a little bit. We're going to bring in Jessica Freeberg now. And it's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time again. The time you've all been looking forward to. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. And with that, I need to bring in a co-hostess. And I'll just automatically off the bat admit she's witty, she's funny, she's highly intelligent. She's got more books than you'll ever write in your career, Buster Brown. And they chart all over the world. I know that for a fact because people are telling me if she comes up with 4 books in a row one more time, we think we're going to have to just put our charts away. I got that call this weekend while I was up at the Palmer. And I said, hey, you listen, people, you just need to keep those charts going because there's 4 new books coming out soon. You're just going to have to figure out how to handle it. That's what I told them. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is. The literary juggernaut herself, Jessica Freeberg. Jess, how you doing?
Hey, thanks for sticking up for me, brother.
I try. Yeah, I do it. I do it. I can. What was I going to say? I mentioned it at the top of the show, but I just again, I got to say happy birthday to my mother. If I don't say it 3 times today, then I'm going to get.
Oh, happy birthday. I love your mom.
Not just any ordinary birthday. It's her 80th today.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah. It's kind of a milestone. So
it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. So, and we'll give, we're going to do I'm going to kind of spoil the end of the program. Normally I tease you about what's coming up on Thursday. We're going to do a post-mortem, a breakdown of the weekend at the Palmer. It was a huge weekend at the Palmer.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear about it.
A lot of stuff happened, Jess. It was very, very active. Normally it's not all that active there. To me, I shouldn't say not all that active. I mean, at least around me. Like
yeah.
Stuff happened around me this weekend.
Really? Because you kind of turn it down, the volume down a little bit. Your energy is just so don't even mess with me.
Yeah, no. Oh, no. They wanted to mess with me this weekend.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed that. I wish I could have been there.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, next time.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. So let's jump into it. We got a lot to jump into today. You could tell, can you tell I'm a little beaten up today? I'm a little, at a rough.
Tired. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a big weekend. It was a fun weekend, but I just, it took a lot out of me. That's all. Just,
it does take a lot. Those weekends are fun, but they are exhausting.
Yeah. But it's a happy exhaustion. So, all right, here's how we're starting it out today. I actually got this story from one of our listeners. It's kind of a little bit of a more serious story, but a mom brought her kids to safety before she and her husband were stabbed to death on a trail. Serious before we get into the funny here. A 28-year-old teacher has admitted to murdering the married couple found stabbed to death on a walking trail in an Arkansas park over the weekend, what appears to be a completely random attack. 28-year-old Andrew James McCann of Springdale, Arkansas, was charged with 2 counts of capital murder in the killings of 43-year-old Clinton David Brink and his wife, 41-year-old Kristen Amanda Brink, Arkansas State Police announced on Wednesday evening. The Brinks were fatally attacked while out hiking with their 2 daughters at Devil's Den State Park on July 26th. It's a huge story that's in the news. The horrific assault occurred about a half mile into the park, with the husband attacked first, according to police. The children were only aged 7 and 9, and they were not harmed in the incident thanks to the actions of their mother, according to police. We believe that the mother took them to safety and then returned to help her husband, according to Major Stacy Rhodes with the Arkansas State Police during a press briefing on Thursday. Following a days-long manhunt for the suspect, McGann was arrested shortly before 5 p.m. local time on Wednesday at a barbershop in Springdale, about 30 miles north of the park. During an interview with police, he admitted to killing the couple, Arkansas State Police Director Colonel Mike Hager said during the Thursday press briefing. DNA from blood recovered from the crime scene also matched McGann's DNA, according to Hager. The suspect has sustained cuts on his hands during a struggle with the victims, according to law enforcement officials familiar with the investigation. Items recovered from his residence were consistent with being involved in this particular crime, said Hager. McGann had recently moved to the area from Oklahoma and had been hired to work at a local school. He was hired to teach in the Springdale Public Schools District this upcoming school year, but had not yet begun employment. He was a teacher.
Scary.
Tell me about it. This individual has not any time come in contact with Springdale students or the families we serve, Cleveland said in a statement, adding that no additional information is available at this time due to the ongoing investigation. Our entire team extends our deepest condolences again to the Brink family. They went on to say their children are especially in our thoughts and prayers. McGann, by the way, was a fifth grade teacher in Broken Arrows, Oklahoma during the 2023-2024 school year. According to that school district, he passed required background checks, according to Broken Arrows Public Schools. So he did work with kids at one time.
Yeah, and that's crazy. He doesn't have a criminal record, and this is his first documented crime, just randomly killing 2 people.
First documented crime.
Dang.
Yeah. Another story from another one of our listeners. By the way, I love the fact that you guys are keeping these coming, and I'd like to mention names all over the place that have brought these in, but today we're a little short on time, but I will keep mentioning them throughout each broadcast. Names like Tony and Jan and all of you that are out there. I appreciate every single one you send in. Again, tim@darknessradio.com. Keep the stories coming for dumb crime, stupid criminals here. Wisconsin woman allegedly walked 16 miles, Jess, and attempted to fatally stab her father, saying he was the devil. Now, a lot of people would maybe say that, I mean, based on familial relations. But a 34-year-old Wisconsin woman, Jamie Anderson, is accused of attempting to kill her father following a 16-mile walk to his home. We're talking obsessed and driven. Allegedly, Anderson claims she hallucinates and believed her father was the devil. As reported by WISC, citing a criminal complaint, the incident took place back on July 1st of this year, while at his Stoughton home in Wisconsin. Anderson's father heard someone knocking at his door. It was his daughter, Jamie Anderson, who had allegedly walked 16 miles from her Madison home. The criminal complaint alleged that Anderson expressed wanting to stop hallucinating and then asked her father for a hug. The man agreed, only for Anderson to allegedly attempt to stab him in the head at that point.
My gosh.
Have you ever double-crossed Dad that way, Jess? I mean,
No.
come on in for a hug, Dad, and then wham, punched him upside the head or anything?
Can't even imagine. That's so crazy.
Not what I'm thinking is exactly the way you show dad love, right? Especially if you think he's
No.
the devil. I'm just saying, maybe a small part of the kingdom of hell when he passes. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be an inheritance there or something, but
True.
not thinking about taking him out. When the man asked her if she was on drugs, as per the complaint, the stabbing attempts continued. So she didn't like the fact that he was confronting her and asking, maybe there should be a problem here. Is there a reason you're trying to stab me in the head repeatedly? She didn't like that either. Eventually, Anderson's father managed to escape by pushing her over a coffee table. Then he called 911 and responding officers met him outside his home. Bloodied, the father told the police that his daughter was still inside the house. She actually came here to kill me, the father allegedly told police, according to WKOW. Upon entering the residence, police found Anderson walking down some stairs. At the time, she was allegedly holding a bright orange knife. She dropped the knife when instructed and was arrested. At that point, according to the complaint, Anderson allegedly told the officers that she suffers from hallucinations. As a result, she believed that her father was the devil and decided to walk the 16 miles to kill him. Like we all would if we found out our parents were the devil. We'd just take a nice 16-mile walk and kill him, right?
That's a solid workout, though. You're just really getting her steps in.
Not only steps, but, you're working those thighs and glutes and maybe even your core. So,
I mean, then your upper body when you're stabbing and such. So it's a full body workout.
You'll get those flabby grandma arms gone in no time, right? Yeah. She then allegedly admitted to slashing him approximately 4 times. Well, it wasn't much of an upper body. I mean, she was working on it, though, but he walked away.
Good for Dad.
Yeah, we'll blame him for not getting the total arm tone workout done. WISC reported that the man had undergone surgery on his arm and got staples in his head as a result of the alleged attack. Allegedly, the man told police that drugs had cooked his daughter's mind. I won't argue. Jamie Anderson was charged with 1 count of first-degree attempted intentional homicide by use of a dangerous weapon with domestic abuse assessments. His bond was set at, or her bond rather, was set at $500,000. During an initial court appearance, she's been ordered to have no contact with her father. maybe try a crucifix next time if you think he's the devil. Maybe it
A
looks
little holy water. There are much easier ways to go about this.
right. We'll start slow. Start slow, work your way up. It's an easy way to do it. Our next story, Jess, has to do with a woman who dodged prison in an auto theft confession. You may remember this from earlier in the year. She's pled in this case. She's from right here in Minnesota. God bless her heart. And she wrote it down in a journal. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Confessing the case? Yeah.
Yep.
I'll just show you her picture real quick. She's got the little "yeah, sure, you betcha" face on right there.
Oh, yep, she sure does.
Oh, yeah, you betcha. Right. Well, this Minnesota woman who made the mistake of confessing to an auto theft in her personal journal, a volume that ended up in police possession, has been spared a prison term, believe it or not, by a judge who placed her on probation for 3 years. Oh, probably because she's nice and sweet and put it in a journal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with her? She looks like a soccer mom.
Well, maybe. At a district court hearing on Monday, 31-year-old Vanessa Guerra was sentenced in connection with her April guilty plea to receiving stolen property, which is a felony. While the count carries a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison, Guerra got off with a probationary term. Judge Krista Jass fined Guerra $454. That was it. And barred her from possessing alcohol, drugs, guns, ammos, or explosives. So there goes the good time. She will also be subject to unannounced searches of her person, car, home, and workplace. So no more stealing the cars and hiding them anywhere.
Oh, that would stress me out, though. If they were going to spontaneously search my home, I'd feel like I have to always keep it clean.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Surprise visits from nowhere. So, yeah.
But not like clean of drugs and stuff, but just like clean, like cleanly.
You should keep it nice and spotless, right? Guerra was charged last year with the theft of a 2000 Ford Freestar van. Not exactly what I go for if I'm going to steal.
Why? Why is that what you stole? Was it worth it?
Maybe she thought I'll get away with it because nobody wants it, right?
Maybe.
Could be. She then sold that for scrap in Blue Earth County. Witnesses at the auto salvage business stated that Guerra had brought the van in and sold it to them, according to a criminal complaint. While probing the auto theft, investigator Andrew, I believe this is Kanechi, visited the home of Guerra's mother, with whom Guerra and her boyfriend had recently resided. Guerra's parent turned over her daughter's personal journal, which contained an incriminating handwritten entry. On the same day that the van had been reported missing, Guerra wrote, "Totally stole a car today. Something I never thought of doing," she added. Fucking super freaking out about it. Right
Totally
there.
stole the car today.
But fucking was spelled Fucken. So you could tell,
Oh, honey.
Yeah. We didn't
Darn
even spell it right. So
Can't even spell your swears right.
yeah, you got to get that down, kid. Just saying. If Guerra successfully completes probation, the receiving stolen property charge will be reduced to a misdemeanor conviction. So no felonies on the record.
Well, I want to say
wait.
that's good for her, but, not good for the rest of us because she clearly has some issues and be good to keep an eye on her.
She got away pretty clean on this deal. Guerra also has worked as a DoorDash driver, has prior convictions for theft, pot possession, driving with a suspended license, and driving without insurance. So she's not completely clean on this deal, but she does journal it. So she doesn't self-incriminate. So they like her for that deal. So they know if she does this again, they know just to ask for the journal.
That's right. Just read her Dear Diary entry for the day.
That's right. So we go from one woman who self-incriminates, Jess, to another woman who evidently self-medicates when it comes to, let's say, early menopause. I think this is probably the deal, because when I read the headline, you're going to go, oh, yeah. Either that or her period has come and it's hit really hard.
Okay.
A Boston woman armed with a knife allegedly stole 8 boxes of ice cream from a CVS store.
Or she's pregnant.
Or she could, well, I'll read her age and you tell me.
Okay.
She might be, but it's a late in life baby. Boston police say 41-year-old Amalia Medina was taken into custody after the armed robbery at CVS located at 468 Blue Hill Avenue in Dorchester. either way, she's having a tough time.
She's needing an ice cream fix.
I guess.
Looking bad.
I mean, it's been hot lately, but 8 boxes of ice cream hot.
Yeah, that's pretty I could steal like 1 or 2 maybe. Put them under my arms and run out the door really fast. But how do you even run away with 8?
Well, I mean, you just,
Stack them up and carry them out like
Yeah.
one of those challenges. What's that
Yeah.
show? Minute to Win It challenge?
That's exactly what it is. An armed robber has been arrested after she allegedly stole several boxes of ice cream from a CVS pharmacy in Boston's Dorchester neighborhood. Police say that 41-year-old Omalia Medina of Boston was taken into custody following the armed robbery that occurred on Tuesday afternoon at the CVS store located at 468 Blue Hill Avenue. According to police, officers responded around 1:30 p.m. to a radio call for a person armed with a knife inside the store and arrived to find a woman matching that description who was in possession of 8 boxes of ice cream. The woman, later identified as Medina, was quickly detained and taken into custody without incident. The ice cream was recovered and returned to the store. Thank God it didn't all melt. Right? Although, would you really want returned ice cream?
I mean, I hope they don't put it back on the shelf and they can like damage it out or something, but
I think they probably have to at that point.
yeah, I'd probably be the unlucky person to buy one of those ice creams though and get home and be like, why is this all crystallized and gooey?
Yeah. According to their investigation, police alleged that Medina pulled a knife on a store employee before fleeing with the frozen treats. At the time of her arrest, Medina also was wanted on 9 outstanding arrest warrants for various offenses. So she's just a thug with an ice cream craving, evidently. Medina was arraigned in Dorchester District Court on a charge of armed robbery. In addition, with the outstanding warrants, there was no immediate update for her court appearance, including attorney information. So just a thug who has a sweet tooth.
An armed robbery of ice cream.
That's right. Another story from one of our listeners out there. Evidently, the dumbness continues as one man was arrested in Commerce City for allegedly pointing lasers at planes near Denver International Airport. I almost said Detroit. Denver International Airport. You know the green lasers? At one point, Aaron Goodwin and the rest of the Ghost Adventures and our crew were, this was years and years ago, Aaron had a set of these lasers. This was years and years and years ago. This is probably a decade and a half ago.
Yeah.
And we went out into the desert with these. And you take these high power lasers and you can point out like satellites and you can point out stars and things like that with them. But a lot of times they were used to try to point out, UFOs, right? You try to signal a UFO with them. But the downside is if you hit a plane with them, you can blind a pilot.
Right.
You can bring down a plane with them. Well, Colorado State Patrol troopers arrested a man in Commerce City around 9 p.m. on August 1st, Thursday night, after he allegedly pointed a green laser at multiple commercial airplanes flying near Denver International Airport. Our aircraft unit overheard several pilots reporting the laser being directed into their cockpits. So this guy was, pinpoint, boom, right into the cockpit.
Wow, he's a good aim.
I guess if he's near the airport, he's probably getting them as they're flying in, right? He's just...
Not cool.
Wow.
There's enough plane accidents right now.
Right. The unit was able to track the suspect from the skies and relay his location to troopers on the ground. They found 41-year-old Jose Alonso Duarte Campos near East 64th Avenue and Monaco Street. Now, while under surveillance, Duarte Campos reportedly aimed the laser at passing aircraft several times. Troopers say they then detained him after he got in his car to drive away. He faces a felony charge of unlawfully aiming a laser at an aircraft, which is a misdemeanor DUI charge related to apparent drug use at the time of his arrest, and a charge for methamphetamine possession.
Okay, well, that explains things a little bit more.
Right. Authorities urge the public to report any incidents involving lasers and aircrafts immediately, warning that the act poses serious risks to pilots, passengers, and public safety. It certainly does. I mean, if you happen to bring down an aircraft as a result of something like that, I mean, you're in serious trouble.
I mean, imagine how many charges you would get for like murder if people died on that crash.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the federal charges alone, you'd be going up for quite a bit, and you could be facing a federal death penalty for murder. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite serious. All right, we got a series of restaurant crimes here, Jess. We're going to turn to some food crimes here for a couple of stories. A Subway manager allegedly locked, and this is from another one of our listeners. Again, they came through huge this week. A Subway manager allegedly locked a 10-year-old girl in a room and berated her after she walked across the floor that he had just mopped.
What?
Yes. Some people are just a little too anal retentive.
Wow. It's going to get dirty. It's a public restaurant.
This guy right here looks like he probably doesn't enjoy any job he's ever done in his life.
Wow. And he clearly doesn't like children. So
No. He's probably not one to ever have kids in his life. I'll just tell you that much right now. The employee was charged with 1 count of false imprisonment of a child under the age of 13 following the incident, you guessed it, at a Florida Subway location. Yeah, we are going to Florida for this one. A Subway employee was arrested and charged for allegedly locking a young girl in a room after she walked on an area of floor that was freshly mopped. On July 21st, James Anthony Morris Jr. was arrested after allegedly imprisoning a 10-year-old girl at a Jackson, Florida Subway location where he is a manager. Citing an arrest report from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Law and Crime reported that along with Action News Jax, which is in Jacksonville. Action News Jax.
I like it.
Just, the funniest news action TV thing you could ever have. After arriving with her mother at the restaurant located at Argyle Forest Boulevard near Old Middlesburg Road, per Action News Jax, the girl walked on an area that the 33-year-old Morris had just mopped, according to a report obtained by Law and Crime. Her mother subsequently asked her to apologize. Which, okay.
What? Okay, but no, that would not be my reaction.
No?
No, if he locked my kid in a room after she walked on the floor.
Well, I mean, he hasn't locked her in the room yet.
Okay.
The mop area, and Mom said, "Hey, apologize for doing that."
Yeah. Okay, then I would. I thought she did. He locked her in the room. She got her out and was like, "Say you're sorry."
So no, she went, "Oh no! Oh, you walked across this mop floor."
Yeah.
Apologize to him. Which
Okay.
good etiquette, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's at this point, Jess, where the Subway manager then allegedly grabs a girl by the hand and brought her to the back of the restaurant where he locked her in a room.
That's insane.
Yes, that's insane.
In front of her mom.
In front of her mom. And that's according to the arrest report. Now, initially, the girl's mom believed Morris was just playing around, but then began to panic. I would be livid.
Oh, there would be hell to pay, Tim.
Yes. The stressed parent tried to open the door, but Morris allegedly pushed it closed, leading to an altercation. Yeah, I bet.
Dang.
Yeah. The mom then allegedly fought with the Subway manager and called out for help, ultimately getting the door open to free her daughter. Again, creepy AF.
Super psycho.
Yeah. Another employee at the sandwich shop responded to the mom's cries for help, according to the arrest report. He later told police that he had allegedly observed Morris pull the girl and heard the commotion that followed. He also called Morris's behavior weird. It's beyond weird. It's psychotic.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. Police believe that in total, the girl was in the room for upwards of 2 minutes.
Wow.
I suppose there's the shock, like, what is going on?
Right.
And what are you doing? And then there's the scuffle to try and get her out of there. And of course, mom probably isn't as strong as this guy. And then you have the employees deciding, am I getting involved or what am I doing here? And this guy's a manager. So
because it's so strange. You just wouldn't even believe it's happening.
right. And am I on candid camera? What's going on here? You know, is this some sort of a weird show for TV? Subway did not immediately respond to People's request for comment on it, People magazine, on Saturday, July 26, nor did the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. The girl told police that when the manager allegedly brought her to the room, he gripped her hand even tighter and told her that her parents are trash and terrible people. The child thought she was being kidnapped and was really scared.
Well, no kidding. That's so scary.
If I were that kid, I'd be livid. I think about how scarred that kid is now.
Yeah, that's traumatic.
Yeah. The girl told police that Morris did not make any sexual advances toward her, thank God. She also confirmed that she had never seen Morris before. Morris remained silent during his July 21st arrest, refusing to make a statement, according to the arrest report. He was charged with 1 count of false imprisonment of a child under the age of 13. It was booked into jail, but later posted bail, according to Law and Crime and Action News Jax. He is scheduled to appear in court on August 13th. Bizarre. Completely bizarre.
A little bit of an overreaction.
A tiny bit. This is the guy who kills flies with sledgehammers just to watch them die. Right. Another food story here, Jess. A customer allegedly stabbed a bakery worker over a sandwich he was sold 4 years ago. This coming from another one of our listeners.
What?
Again, a little overreaction.
These are crazy.
I think things aren't going well in the food industry, in the fast food.
Really with sandwiches too. It's all about the sandwiches.
It is about the sandwiches. I think I'm going to choose to dine out from now on and stay in rather than take to go, right?
Yeah.
We go to Paterson, New Jersey, where the Baladna, I believe it is, the Baladna Bakery on Main Street in Paterson, New Jersey, was closed Friday because the owner and his brother were hospitalized after being stabbed the day before. Police described the suspect as a knife-wielding customer. This time it's a customer who's not right. Thursday morning's violence began when the man angrily said he was sold a sandwich 4 years ago that had eggplant, and he described an allergy to the vegetable that he claimed made him ill.
What? How do you remember something like that happened 4 years ago? Haven't you had more things going on in your world since then?
Maybe it took him a while to recover and decided now is the day. Today's the day, Jess. Today's the day I get my revenge. Right?
Oh, that's scary.
Munir Simran is the victim's close friend. He said he pulled a knife and he started hitting them, Simran said. He hit the guy with the chest and the other brother hit him in the hand. So that's crazy, is the direct quote. Both brothers suffered deep stab wounds and were brought to St. Joseph's University Hospital. I heard screaming, so I went outside to see one of the bakery owners outside holding his arm. His arm was bleeding, one witness recounted. Surprised everybody because they're very nice people. Paterson's mayor was in the Main Street Business District afterwards to talk to residents and merchants. They're concerned. This type of thing does not happen in that area. So I tried to assuage some of the fears, allay their concerns, and reassure them that the police department is completely focused on bringing whomever is responsible for this tragic, violent incident to justice, Mayor Andre Sayer said. The suspect was last seen running away on Main Street. Police have not released a description, so they don't have this guy in custody.
Oh, that's creepy.
Isn't it? Yet they know 4 years ago, it must have been something he said to the owners.
Yeah.
That 4 years ago, you put eggplant in my sandwich. Now I'm going to plant this knife in you or something to that.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
It's really scary how unhinged people are lately.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Seems more than usual. Maybe I'm just hearing more of it because of you.
Yes, it's all my fault, Jess. Yes, that people have gone nuts inside eateries. Speaking of going nuts in eateries,
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago we had a story about Chuck E. Cheese being arrested. They slapped the cuffs on Chuck E. Yes, when you were gone and Travis.
That's wonderful. I love it.
They slapped the cuffs on Chucky and took him out because he was stealing from the restaurant. He was stealing EBT cards. But Chuck E. Cheese is again in the news. And Travis had actually said at that point when he was working security at one point, they didn't go into Chuck E. Cheese. They were told to leave Chuck E. Cheese alone because of all the brawls that were going on. Well,
Really?
surprise. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was actually here in Minnesota, too.
Man, I always used to say when we go to Chuck E. Cheese, like, how many people are here without kids? Like, you'd look around and you'd see these people like wearing their pajama pants, and you're like, they're just here. Like, it's just a Tuesday for them. They don't have children. Like, Chuck E. Cheese always freaked me out.
See, and then I revealed that in high school, I dressed as Chucky for 3 years. I was a character.
You were? That's amazing.
I worked game room, dish room, and I dressed as Chucky. Chucky and
Oh,
Pasquale. Yep. I did multi character work.
wow, that's amazing. I used to tell my husband every time we'd go, I'd be like, no, it only takes 2 minutes and a stranger in a bathroom to destroy a kid's life. So don't let our children out of your sight. That's how I felt about Chuck E. Cheese. I felt like we were surrounded by pedophiles.
Wow. No, not every guy who dresses in a Chucky uniform is a pedophile, Jess.
But now I know you weren't. So, I mean, they're probably just nice people, and I just have a deep-rooted fear of people in costumes.
I think you do. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just dress in character because, it's a living, Jess. And sometimes it's just kids in high school trying to get through.
Yeah, it's true. Just
Trying to
trying to
work.
make a buck.
Yeah.
And my kids
Sometimes.
always loved someone in a costume. Every time you'd see one of them on the street or something, they'd want to go hug them. And inside, I'd let them hug them on the outside. On the inside, though, I was like, oh, you pedophile, you better not even think about it.
And just real brief, I used to walk around the game room and hand kids free tokens. I'd
Oh,
hand them
yeah?
for games and stuff like that, or I'd go to the skee ball machine. I'd win them a bunch of tickets because I knew the sweet spot to hit the bumper to always get 50 points.
Yeah.
So
And I would have been telling my husband, keep an eye on that Chucky. He's up to something.
He's trying to he's trying to lure
Trying
him,
to reel him in.
trying to reel him in with free tickets. He's the pedophile, and all I'm trying to do is just win him a bunch of tickets so they can get a better
Just
prize.
a nice guy in a Chucky costume.
Trying to make their day. That's all I was trying to do. I didn't want nothing from him, Jess. Just trying to see him smile and laugh on the way out. Look at, I ripped off the Chuck E. Cheese restaurant. I
Oh,
didn't care. I was only making $3.35 an hour.
oh wow. What did Chucky do this time?
Well, this time at Chuck E. Cheese, it was a brawl, just like Travis said.
Oh,
We didn't go in to break up the brawls at Chuck E. Cheese because, well, they were all trouble. Everyone in the Chuck E. Cheese was trouble. There's put a bunch of trailer trash inside the Chuck E. Cheese. We let them fight it out.
I believe it. I was there.
No, that's not what he was trying to say. But there was a brawl at the Chuck E. Cheese, which left 20 injured and one kid punched in the eye.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Where are we going here? We are going to Mobile, Alabama, where Chuck E. Cheese's publicity in July has definitely taken another pizza-sized hit thanks to the wild brawl, which saw a kid punched in the eye. I don't mean to laugh, but it's just funny that Travis said we were specifically wanting not to go into Chuck E. Cheese, and we were told by our supervisor try to avoid the Chuck E. Cheese.
It's dangerous in there.
WKRG in Cincinnati reports that on July 26th, police responded to a Chuck E. Cheese location in Mobile, Alabama, where several people got into an altercation that ended up with more than 20 people injured. According to a witness, a man attacked a woman and kids, and it turned into a wider altercation that led to another child being struck in the face. He just got upset about something, revealed one witness. It was like a teenage boy. They punched me in the eye right here, said the girl who was attacked. Oh, it was a little girl. They started fighting as I was walking by, and then they punched me on accident. I don't know if it was on purpose or on accident, she said. So far, no arrests have been made in the brawl, but that could change, according to Mobile's Police Department's public information officer, Roderick Miles, who revealed that in a press conference. If someone was injured, they could possibly be facing assault charges, said Miles. If property was destroyed, someone has to be held liable for that. So they could be facing criminal mischief charges. And if there was an altercation or just an altercation, then it's a possible misdemeanor, which can be harassment. In other Chuck-related news, as I was telling Jess, an employee was dressed as the franchise's famous mascot and was arrested while working at a Florida location. Of course, Tallahassee police responded to Chuck E. Cheese's location there, where a caller reported a stolen credit card that had $100 in fraudulent charges. The woman traced the activity to an employee there and arrested him while he was dressed as Chucky in that famous mascot costume, and created a viral sensation that has kept the company's PR department up at night in cold sweats. The man in the mascot costume is identified as Jermel Jones and was arrested for 3 felonies as a result. So there you go.
Bad news.
Bad news. Speaking of brawls, we're going to keep the brawls going here. As one erupted in an airport after a man slapped a woman for refusing to get up from her seat next to his wife. Now, is it really that serious that you need to sit next to your husband on the plane?
No, I can just sit by myself and enjoy my time alone.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's more of an ownership thing for some men that they need to sit next to their wives. I'm okay sitting by myself. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to listen to a podcast or read a book anyway, or watch a movie.
Yeah. I don't need to be attached at the hip to anybody. I'm good.
No, definitely not codependent over here.
An irate businessman, though, was arrested after he slapped a female lawyer during an argument over a seat inside an airport terminal in Colombia. The brawl unfolded after the aggressor, Hector Santa Cruz, walked over to the bench at Gate 9 in El Dorado International Airport in Bogota on Sunday night and asked Claudia Segura to stand up from her seat. He challenged her to a duel. A heated discussion ensued in which Segura declined to give up her seat so that Santa Cruz could sit next to his wife, Karen de Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz towered over Segura as the argument escalated, and he suddenly slapped her cell phone out of her hands and struck her in the face.
That's crazy. If he's going to do that to a random person, do you suppose he beats his wife too? Like,
I'm sure he does.
he has to.
3 passengers, including a woman, intervened to defend Segura as they shoved the man back before his own wife stood up and got involved. She defended him.
What?
This is
I'd be
crazy.
so embarrassed.
Multiple people could be heard shouting at Santa Cruz for attacking Segura. A separate video showed Segura lying on her back while she was tended to by an airport worker. Santa Cruz's wife gathered their belongings as he was escorted rather, by an airport police officer. There's a picture of him here being escorted off the plane and in handcuffs, Jess. In other words, you just don't slap people on the plane and expect to get away with it.
Nope. You just need to be nice.
Yeah. It's one thing to ask somebody, can I sit next to my wife? It's another to slap somebody. Segura, who is a government contractor, told El Tiempo newspaper that she was waiting for her flight to depart and was looking for a place to sit so that she could continue to work on her laptop. When I got to the waiting area, everything was completely full, and I only saw one empty chair, she recalled. I didn't have any bags or clothes on me to indicate that it didn't have any on it to indicate that it was occupied, so I sat down. Segura said that Santa Cruz's wife told her that the seat was occupied, but she countered by telling her that it was not occupied. She had just finished a work-related phone call when Santa Cruz threatened her and said, "Get up or I'll get you up." Jeez. Segura held her ground when Santa Cruz turned to another passenger and asked them to make sure they were recording the showdown. He hits me on one hand, knocks off my phone, and hits me hard in the face and head. The magnitude of the impact knocked my earring off, she said. Segura said that the police took her to a local urgent care in the center of town for a medical evaluation and that she had to share the same vehicle as her attacker.
Oh,
Whoa.
yuck.
I am affected and very afraid, she went on to say. I don't blame her. Santa Cruz's wife released a video apology on Wednesday and condemned his behavior after her design business was bombarded with criticism. The person shown physically assaulting a woman is my husband. And you don't know how much it hurts me to say this out loud, Karen said. And it really hurts me as a woman and as a mother and as the founder of Kala. Because all of this goes against what we want, what we've been working on for so many years. I know that when things like this happen, it's easy to point fingers, judge, and dismiss, she added. But I also know that many of us have made mistakes at some point in our life. But as the old saying goes, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. This doesn't mean it's right, because it isn't. No, I don't condone it. I don't approve of it, and I won't remain silent. I reject it from the bottom of my heart because I believe in dignity, in boundaries, and in respect. I don't care if she was being assertive and saying, well, it's not occupied because there's nobody marking the spot by leaving a jacket here or whatever. And I don't care what you insist. It can be worked out by bringing in an official from the airline. And all the man had to do was bring in, a flight attendant or whatever and say, listen, this is my wife. I was sitting with my wife. She's inappropriately sitting next to my wife, claiming that I'm not sitting there. Can you please remove her and find another seat for her? And the flight attendant would know what to do.
Yeah, violence is never the answer, period.
Right. You don't have to put your hands on it. Our next story has to do with an appeals court denying this person's self-defense claim. Now, this guy used lethal force in Florida. I'll kind of shorten this story. You're going to be surprised as to why, all right? The guy's name is Preston Brewer. He put in a self-defense claim in February of 2023 in the shooting death of Garrett Hughes at the former Conchtown Bar and Liquor Store in Key West. Now, the May 16th refusal by the 3rd District Court of Appeal to hear oral arguments pertaining to Brewer's self-defense claim means that Brewer's murder trial will proceed and is currently scheduled to begin October 6th in Judge Mark Jones' Key West courtroom. The pretrial hearing is scheduled for September 4th. This is why. Brewer's attorney, Jerome Ballaroto, sought in December 2024 to have Jones dismissed Brewer's murder charge based on Florida's stand your ground law that allows people to use deadly force in self-defense without retreating if they're in a place to have the right to be and not engaged in criminal activity. Now, here's why he believes he was having the right to use the stand your ground law. At the time, it says here that Jones denied the self-defense claim in February 2025, having listened to arguments from Brewer's attorneys and state prosecutors. Jones determined that Brewer, now 59, was the aggressor, writing in his 5-page order, "It is clear to the court that the defendant, Lloyd P. Brewer III, instigated his deadly confrontation with Garrett Hughes." Here's what happened. Jones summarized the situation that unfolded on the night of February 13th at Conchtown Liquor and Lounge on North Roosevelt Boulevard, which is now closed, by the way. It's not open to the public. At the time of the shooting following the 2023 Super Bowl, Brewer's family had owned the building that housed the bar business and the parking lot where the shooting occurred, but did not own the tenant business. The judge wrote that the incident stated that Brewer exited the bar and saw a drunk Hughes, who had been drinking in the bar moments earlier in the parking lot, urinating against the wall of a neighboring business. Security video footage shows that Hughes was shirtless and wearing shorts and flip-flops at the time of the shooting. Unfortunately, at the time, both men were intoxicated. Without a doubt, their respective states of intoxication contributed greatly to a catastrophic decision-making that ultimately brought Mr. Hughes' death and Mr. Brewer's prosecution. So in other words, the guy was drunk, pissing against a neighboring building, and the guy shot the guy to death.
He got shot for peeing outside. That's crazy.
After a Super Bowl.
And
he said, I was standing my ground. I shot him on the neighbor's building. He wasn't even in my yard. He wasn't against my
That's not standing your ground. No.
Right. That's not standing your ground. That, my friends, is a dumb criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. We only have a couple of minutes, so we're going to fast forward into the program. We're going to get to our not safe for work portion of our program here. We start with, we're going to do that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You better have everybody out of the room because here we go, ready or not. Our first story is a man who was caught in a Grand Island Park bathroom, not only with meth, but Jess, he also had his genitals exposed. Let me show you.
Way worse than the guy who was peeing on the wall.
And he has an appropriate name. Would you like to know what his name is?
Yes, please.
His name is Edward Sinner.
Oh, Edward Sinner. What a perfect name and what a creepy looking dude.
He is creepy, isn't he?
I think it's just his expression.
He's got
He's kind of looking up at you like.
Yeah, he's kind has the weird look on his face. We go to Lincoln, Nebraska, where a man was arrested at a park in Grand Island on Thursday afternoon after police say he was hanging out in the bathroom with a bag of meth and his bare genitals. Well,
Literally hanging out.
literally hanging out. Well, you'd have to hang out for a short amount of time, especially if you got to do your business, but then, put it back in. Just after 10 a.m., officers with the Grand Island Police Department were sent to Eagle Scout Park for a welfare check. According to police, Edward Sinner, what a name, was in a park bathroom sitting on the floor with his genitals exposed. Items on the floor next to him were used for sexual gratification, according to the press release. I can't even say it. A bag of suspected methamphetamine was also found in Sinner's possession. After investigation, police said they found Sinner had a no trespass order for Grand Island Parks, so he wasn't supposed to be there.
Not his first time being offensive in that park.
That's right. Sinner was arrested on suspicion of second-degree trespassing, public indecency, and possession of a controlled substance. He was taken to the jail afterwards. All right. Next story, not safe for work. That's not a person floating in the Blackfoot River as they're searching for a body. But guess what it is, Jess?
What?
They found somebody's life-size sex doll. We go to Soda Springs, where a 3-hour search for what initially was supposed to be a body in the Blackfoot River ended up being a life-size silicone female companion doll.
Somebody lost their best friend.
That's right. And guess what? It looks surprised. It all started Thursday morning around 9:30 a.m., according to Caribou County Sheriff Adam Mabey. Mabey told EastIdahoNews.com that someone had reported seeing a body in the river about 16 miles northeast of Soda Springs. The Blackfoot River flows from the Diamond Creek area and connects to the Blackfoot Reservoir. Deputies flew drones along a stretch of the river during the search. A team went in the water around 12:30 p.m. once the alleged body was found. When my team went in and pulled it out of the water, that's when they realized it was just a life-size companion doll, Mabey said.
They're all ready to do CPR and life-saving.
Oh, don't put your mouth on that mouth. You don't know where that mouth is going. Right. And don't try to blow in any other end either.
That doll is dirty.
Doesn't matter how much water is flown over it. Maybe said the doll has been in the water for quite some time. By the time they found it, it's unclear who it belonged to or how it got there. My guess is they were done with it and just wanted to get rid of it, much like any other crime. The search crew took pictures of the doll, probably with their arm around it, like, look what I found. But maybe didn't have any on hand. Oh, didn't have any pictures on hand of them with the doll, I guess. I don't know what that means. Maybe doesn't think they'll ever find out who put the doll in the river, but if they do, the individual will be charged with littering.
Wow. Probably not worth doing a DNA swab on the doll to find them if it's just a littering charge.
Right. I wonder if they get charged with the cost of the investigation too.
I would think so.
Yeah.
But
who knows? Who knows? All right. We do have a palate cleanser here for today. Our palate cleanser, it's supposed to be a two-parter here. Let's see if we can get them both done. A hot dog spill shuts down a highway in Pennsylvania, and commuters have their worst nightmare realized. A truckload of hot dogs in Shrewsbury, Pennsylvania, spilled across the Pennsylvania interstate on Friday after a crash that briefly clogged the heavily traveled artery. Happened in both directions. Crews were stuck with a job they did not relish there, Jess, rolling up the scattered tube steaks for disposal. Once those leave the truck and hit the road, that's all garbage, and it's still pretty warm, Shrewsbury Fire Company Chief Brad Doberman said. State police said the tractor-trailer had an unspecified mechanical problem on Interstate 83, a few miles north of the Maryland line, as morning rush hour was wrapping up, causing it to push into a passenger vehicle. When the truck scraped along a concrete divider, the trailer ripped open and its contents were scattered. 4 people required medical attention, Doberman said. 4 injuries that police said were non-life-threatening. Well, that's good to know. I mean, you don't want life-threatening injuries on a bunch of wieners. Just saying. A front-end loader was used to scoop up the hot dogs and drop them into a dump truck. Doberman said emergency crews couldn't help but see the humor in the situation, and his daughter texted him a photo of a hot dog-themed T-shirt. The fire chief said, in closing, I can tell you personally, wieners are very slippery. I did not know that.
Slippery Wieners. That's a band name.
Slippery Wieners. It's a band name. And our last story. A British Columbia camper was heard yelling in the woods, but it wasn't in distress, Jess. It turns out he was singing the words to a Nickelback song very loudly.
Oh.
People thought he was either in pain or in distress.
Oh. It doesn't say much for his vocal skills.
Or it doesn't say much for Nickelback, one or the other. Nothing like a good old-fashioned Nickelback song or a sing-along to launch a search and rescue crew into action. On Thursday evening, the Central Okanagan Search and Rescue Crew were out training when they received reports of someone yelling for help near the boulder fields, a climbing spot near the Kettle Valley Railway. 2 hikers were contacting 911 after hearing what they sounded like repeated cries. That was their quote. The crew immediately switched from training to rescue mode, activating its drone team along with 2 RCMP officers. The first members of the crew who arrived at the boulder fields could hear faint yelling. That was a quote, but couldn't make out what was being said, according to a post online by the search team. The crew had split into 2 teams and were prepping to search the woods and the forest roads when team members found the source of the yelling, a man camping alone who had been belting out Nickelback's greatest hits. Oh, God.
Oh, my.
Camper was singing his heart out to the trees, blissfully unaware that the acoustics of the boulder fields had turned his tent-side concert into an accidental distress signal, according to the team. He wasn't in trouble, said search manager Dwayne Tennish, unless you count his singing. The team thanked the hikers who called it in, adding that while Thursday's evening's incident turned out to be nothing more than a camper in need of singing lessons, it could have been serious. And remember, our services are always free, they went on to add, and the money you save could be spent on singing lessons. So there you go. Someone should let Nickelback know they should probably kick in for some of the cost of the saving. So.
Agreed.
That'll do it for today's program. We got to get out of here, but Jess, people can get signed books on your website, jessicafreeberg.com, correct?
That's right.
That's
Shoot
right.
me a message and let me know you want one, and I'll get one sent your way.
That's right. Tomorrow on The Big Show, Mally Fox and Supernatural News. Thursday on the show, Scotty Rorick and Tim Miley and Lauren Miley will join us. We'll do a post-mortem on the Potographs for Pooch's trip at the Palmer House Hotel. For Jessica Freeberg, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining in and watching and listening. The best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday.
For more audio and video archives of True Crime Tuesday, intriguing content, and cool swag, check out darknessradioshow.com. The executive producer of True Crime Tuesday is Troy Palmer. If you enjoyed today's program, please make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. And be sure to join us tomorrow for Supernatural News with Mally Fox.